So, hello everyone. So first of all, thanks for to be here, and also it's a pleasure to share my knowledge here, and also it's a pleasure to share my knowledge in a Australian event. So happy to be here. It's been amazing. So I was learning a lot of things about security in the previous session and the best practice and so on. So it's good to learn, and also we have a few good sessions in the first and in the evening as well. So right now is like Friday evening for me, so it's 7 p.m. But yeah, the idea for this the next 30 minutes is to discuss a little bit about the agent framework. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop your message in the chat. I can answer during the session as well. But yeah, we can see a lot of things about AI. We can see a lot of AI solutions, and people in general are trying to build agents and try to implement in different places and try to make it production readiness, and also make it available for their employees. But the main challenge is when we are using AI, sometimes we don't have enough details, or the data is not prepared for the AI, or sometimes we have some challenge with the quality of the response. So I have been working a product, AI product, since last year, and the main challenge is the adoption and to understand the user behavior. So we have a couple of challenges when we are talking about AI and agents. So in today's session, the idea is not to just simple build an agent, but to understand how can we leverage our agents to the next level. So first of all, let me introduce myself. Quick introduction. My name is Renato Romão. I'm a Microsoft MVP in the business application and Microsoft Foundry categories. So I have been working as a software developer for 12 years. And also I started with .NET, so it's a pleasure. If I'm not wrong, the first global Azure I present a session, it was like 8 years ago. So yeah, it's good to share my knowledge. And also I have most of the content that I share on LinkedIn is about Microsoft Foundry and Copilot Studio. But yeah, if you want to learn more about both technologies, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. So the agenda for today is introduction, the architecture, the demo part. So we will discuss about the agent framework in a bit. So what can be done with agent framework, what are the best practices when we are using AI solutions and so on. But yeah, so let's go to the next slide. So agents are the next layer of application logic. So we can see a lot of people trying to build agents, but as I mentioned before, people are just building agents to implement AI solutions. People are not thinking about the main problem and to solve problems with the AI and the agents. So in this case, we can see Lovable, .dev, we can see what else? Cloud Code, we can see ChatGPT, and also we can see a lot of AI platforms that we can build solutions quickly and agents. But the main problem is we are resolving a lot of problems. We are resolving with the AI space and so on. We automate the process, but we are not governing it behind the scenes. There are no governance when we are implementing AI solutions in Cloud Code only. So we need to understand the best practice mainly for enterprise solutions or enterprise companies. So for small companies, that's fine. We can start by using Cloud Code or Lovable. But when we are going to a medium and enterprise companies, sometimes we need to understand the best practice, where the data is. We need to understand the governance structure, the architecture, and the security place, and so on. So in this case, we can build application quickly with agents. The agent can build application as well. So we can create some agents to build the applications. But how can we build a solution that can be autonomous. We can have autonomous agents. We can see, we can connect to different platforms. So we can create an agent, connect to SAP or Microsoft 365 or any other platform that we have, Excel or PowerPoint or any other platform, or Google Drive, Google Sheets, and so on. So how can we connect all of them in just one single place? And also the main another challenge that we have, 8 in 10 enterprise use agent-based AI today, but most of them never make it to production. So as I mentioned as well, so I've been working a product, an AI product since last year. And also we saw a lot of people buying the products and installing the product in their companies, but not trying to use or not using them on the daily work. So it makes the agent not useful, and people are uninstalling, or people are not paying for the monthly rate, and so on. So this is the main gap. As you can see, we can see, so when we are building agents in Microsoft, we can use agent framework. We can have Microsoft 365 Copilot. We have Microsoft Foundry agents. We have the agent framework that we can build custom agents behind the scenes. We can connect to LangChain, LangGraph, and so on. But the main problem is we are building agents, but what is the problem that we are resolving behind the scenes? So Microsoft released in October 2025. So 7 months, 8 months. So Microsoft released this product called Agent Framework. It's not a product; it's a framework SDK that you can install in your machine. You can install in your projects, and also you can develop based on that specific project. So in this case, you can customize your agents. You can build on top of that, and also you can deliver solutions and agents under the Microsoft layer. And also before that, we had semantic kernel that has been released has been launched in 2024 or 2023. And also we have AutoGen. Both are good, but they have different limitations. So AutoGen is really good when we are talking about multi-agents and orchestration behind the scenes and so on. So basically, Microsoft decided to unify both of them and to have a framework that we can build .NET solutions and Python solutions customized with agents. So this is a table. I will share the PowerPoint presentation with you later. So feel free to take some screenshots if you want, but I will share the PowerPoint presentation later. There's no problem. But yeah, Microsoft Agent Framework supports several types of agents and accommodate different use cases when we are talking about AI solutions in general. But yeah, you can build AI agent in .NET, and also you can build basic agent in Python. And basically, you can use different agent types as well right now in Microsoft Agent Framework. So in this case, Microsoft decided to unify the best of both solutions. So right now we have mode agents, we can connect to MCPs. So if you have like MCP of HubSpot or WhatsApp or Telegram or any other platform that is not inside Microsoft, instead of developing the integration, so you can just connect as an MCP and the AI can connect directly. So this is really good. And also we have the main point here when we are using agent framework is the observability, because right now we have more visibility about our agents and also the things that are being executed behind the scenes. So for example, just to let you know, one of the challenges when we are using AI agents is because sometimes we are building agents. We know that the agent is working as expected, but how can I understand the user behavior? So once we have the observability connected behind the scenes, we can understand when the user send a message, they are expecting to receive that specific response. So they are expecting the message is going to the Microsoft Azure AI search, searching for those terms, finding the response, and then going to SharePoint, connecting to SharePoint, and then going to the Azure, combining both of information, and then like have a bullet point list. with all in output messages. So in this case, this is the user expectation. But once we send a message to the agent framework, to the agent behind the scenes, the agent is only retrieving the memory on the large language model and responding it to the end user. So this is not useful because it's not retrieving the data behind the scenes. So once we have the observability connected behind the scenes, we can understand that basically the user is sending a message and it's not going to the correct way. And also we can see the second message of that specific user. And the second message is a complaining about the system. So you are not using the correct information. You are not sending the correct information. And then we can use the observability to train the AI. We can understand the user behavior. We can use like sentiment analysis. We can implement any type of solutions behind the scenes just to understand how can we improve the solutions, not only for that specific user, because if it's failing for that specific user, probably like other users will face the same issue. So in this case, you can understand the user behavior. I know that most of the people that are building agents are technical, but once we are releasing the agent to companies in general, people are not technical. Sometimes we need to understand that people that are using agents, sometimes they have no experience with ChatGPT, Cloud Code, or any other AI solution. So sometimes they are sending, what is the message? What is the table? Where is the table value? But there's no table. There are like 10 or 15 different tables in the same data, in the same document. So in this case, you need to understand the user behavior. Once you understand it, you can improve the agents for your company. So this is the architecture, not the architecture, but the options that we have when we are using agent framework. So we can connect so let me reduce the, yeah, here you go. So we can connect to Microsoft Agents SDK. We can connect to Copilot Studio. We can connect to Microsoft Foundry. This is not the main solutions when we are using agent framework, but this is one of the options that we have, because most of the people that are trying to use Microsoft Agent Framework sometimes have their agents in different platforms as well. So instead of building one agent in Copilot to do another agent in Foundry and have two different agents in different places, you can centralize everything in the Microsoft Agent Framework. So you can connect to them, you can receive the same, you can use the same response, you can have the same experience, but you're using different platforms to connect to them. And also on top of that, you can connect to Twilio, WhatsApp behind the scenes, Teams, Copilot, and also as a database, we can connect to MongoDB, Gemini, Anthropic, and different SQL Server, Azure Blob Storage, Azure AI Search, and different other platforms. So this is one of the benefits by using agent framework. And also, if you want to build your simple agents, so this is not like a joke, because sometimes people are, you can create your agent in 5 minutes or something like that. But yeah, this is not a joke. If you want to type this type of code, you can. This is not enough. Sometimes you need to have a solution if you're using .NET. But yeah, this is simple. With simple information, you can create your agent, and then you can put more details. Of course, sometimes you need to connect to Excel. Sometimes you need to connect to SQL Server. Sometimes you need to connect to Azure AI Search. But if you want to build an agent from scratch, you can create in 5 lines or so. So in this case, this could be simple when we are using agents in Agent Framework. So basically, you can pass your project in Foundry, you can pass your credentials, and then you can have your output. And also one of the things here. So I've been working with Agent Framework and Microsoft Foundry for a year. And also during this period, Microsoft renamed and rebranded the solution. And also previously it was Azure AI Foundry, then we had Azure AI Foundry, and in the last few months we had Microsoft Foundry. And also during this transition, previously we were creating Azure Azure OpenAI projects in Azure, and then we were creating our models based on the Azure OpenAI resource. But the problem right now is we are creating first the Microsoft Foundry project, and then we can create the model inside the project. So in this case, if you are trying to use agent framework, be careful with that, because in the second line, in the third line here, you are passing the Foundry project credentials. If you are passing your Azure OpenAI credentials, because if you are using an old version, an old resource, you need to switch the dependence, otherwise it will fail. So in this case, be careful with that, because for the demo, sometimes we are creating with AI, sometimes we are using a cloud code, or we are using GitHub Copilot. And also in the most of the documentations we have, so I have another, let me check the battery. Yeah, this one is ending, but I have another one, that's fine. And also most of the AI solutions, the large language models structure, are explaining that we need to use Azure OpenAI. But yeah, the new library, we must use Microsoft Foundry project. So this is like a provider comparison that we have. So we have, so as I mentioned, we can connect Microsoft Agent Framework not only to Microsoft 365 Copilot, not only to Copilot Studio, not only to Microsoft Foundry, but we can connect to LangChain, LangGraph, Anthropic, and different platforms as well. So we can use Agent Framework as an accelerator to build different agents in different platforms. And also this is like a comparison and also possibilities that we have, and also the limitations that sometimes we have when we are connecting to different things. So in this case, if you're using agent framework with Copilot Studio, you can only use function tools, not structured output, code interpreter, file search, and so on. So be careful with that when we are using with different platforms and integration as well. So another benefit when we are using the agent framework is the workflow orchestration that we have behind the scenes, the patterns that we have behind the scenes. So this is the 5 orchestration patterns that we have. We can use sequential, concurrence, handoff, group chat, and magentic. So in this case, we can send a message and we can have different agents, and the agent, or we can have a like supervisor, the main agent, and the agent can decide the best practice and the best way to go to different places. So in this case, we can like use different user like AI behavior to go to different places with agent framework. And also another benefit when we are using agent framework, we can connect to like a human in the loop. So in this case, we can have an approval process in the middle of the agent execution. So in this case, we don't need to go directly to the AI and just skip the human. So in this case, for example, if we are building an AI solution for invoice process, so once we are receiving an invoice process, I need to process those information, and then I need to like orchestrate it. And depending on the value that we have on the invoice details, I can go to different places. But if the invoice is not correct, I need to send like a human. I can connect to a human in the process, and also I need to send to the HR to approve the invoice first. So in this case, we can connect to a human in the process, and depending on the value. So for example, if the total amount is over $100,000, so you can go to a human in the loop. Otherwise, you can skip it and approve automatically. So in this case, this is really good. So let's go to our demo part. So I built this agent. So it will be free for you in the GitHub. I will put it as part of, I can share the GitHub repo later with you in the chat. But if you want to download this project, if you want to build on top of that, feel free to connect it. So basically, I built a simple agent. So with AI, so I was using Cloud Code and GitHub Copilot to build this platform. But the idea is to have a FinOps agent using agent framework connected to Microsoft Foundry projects. And basically, I can upload my requirements to the AI, and the AI can recognize the not the questions only, but the project requirements. And also, depending on the project that I have, they can like have some highlights or something like that, using the best practice. So in this case, I was using Agent Framework and the FinOps framework. So this is one of the best practice when we're using agents, and also if you're using AI, this is really good. So basically, I have a sample here, and also this like project customer support Copilot. So let me zoom in to make it better for you. So project to support Copilot for a mid-size retailer, and also architecture front end with Azure App Services, backend .NET 9, AI with Azure OpenAI, GPT-4. So in this case, it's using an old version, but could be like GPT 5.4, or could be Cloud Code or something like that. If you're using an external service, we can highlight it to the AI. Like if you're using Anthropic, be careful because the AI can train based on your data. So you can like have something like that. And also I can pass some expectations like expected usage, 8,000 users per month and so on. So let me execute it in parallel. And also you can pass some best practice. If you are not using like uh, all information needed, so what you can do, you can train the AI that if you have less information, you need to highlight to the end user that probably need to improve it or something like that. So this is the output that I have. So FinOps assessment, customer support Copilot for mid-size retailer, and also the identified service workloads. So it's using Azure. The recommended item is P2V3 using Azure SQL database, Azure OpenAI, and the model. We can have like the price for the Azure AI cert, and also the cost drivers as well, like high for OpenAI, and also the estimated cost based on the large language model knowledge. So we can teach the AI, we can have like, instead of using hard coded it, so we can connect to the Azure calculator price API, or we can customize it, or we can train the AI based on the public knowledge. And also this is like recommendations, what can be done. So as you can see here, we have a lot of information, useful information that I can share it internally, or instead of using, so some people are using forums, or so have some discussions to approve it internally in the company. When we have a new project, what can be done? You can build an agent. So instead of people sending a message to you and grouping with the IT team. So basically, the IT team can build an agent in Agent Framework, putting the best practice for their IT department, and that's it. So the people in the company can just upload the requirements, and the AI can help them to leverage each. And also, as you can see here, we have some panels. How I built these projects. So in this case, I was using .NET to execute it and also to run this project. First of all, I was using Azure logging first. So this is really important because in this case, instead of when we are building agent framework, sometimes we have the option to store all the necessary information like keys and so on. Sometimes people that are not developers, sometimes people are storing the keys in the code. So this is really dangerous. That is the reason that Microsoft is releasing a lot of applied skills related to the like secret scanning and so on, because people are sharing their knowledge and sharing their keys into the code. So this is really important. So it is relevant for the project. So in this case, what can be done is you can connect, instead of using keys, you can use manage identity to connect to your project. And also in this case, you only need to use AZ login to connect your project locally to the Azure portal. Otherwise, also, so this is local project. But if you need to deploy it to the Azure portal, once you have it in the Azure portal as a web app or like a container or AKS or any other type of solutions that you have. So basically, you can connect using managed identity. You can connect the Microsoft Foundry project with the web app or the service that you are using, the resource that you are using. And both can have permissions to access, and also you're not sharing the keys. You don't need to have key vault or something like that. You only need to have like managed identity to connect both services. So in this case, I can execute AZ login. So this is the first step. I can connect to my account, and also I need to choose the subscription that I have, and also it will be available 3 subscriptions, and then I can execute .NET Run. So this is to execute the project. What I need to do, so first of all, you need to update. So I will not share the credentials that I have in the app settings, but I created another one called app settings template. But in the app settings template, you can see that we have the Azure OpenAI project. So in this case, this is not the Azure OpenAI project. This is the Microsoft Foundry project. And also you can change the model. So one of the reasons to have like a powerful response is because I'm using GPT 5.4. So in this case, if I want to use like a different model, you can switch it, and also you can use another one. And also, if you want to put your API key, that's fine. But this is optional because in this case, you're using Azure credentials. What else I have in my agent just to complete the session? So we have the agent factory that I have the agent description and also the configuration that I have to my agent. So in this case, I'm explaining the endpoint, the deployment that I'm using, and also the configuration, the necessary configurations, the endpoints and suffix that we have. We have the FinOps agent prompt that you can customize it. So in this case, I've hard coded it in my project, but instead of doing it, you probably the best practice is to connect it to like an API, or to connect to a back office, or to connect to like a database just to retrieve the prompt, because you can switch it quickly instead of redeploying the solution all the time. You can just have one single place to do that. And also the tools. So in this case, I'm just using the best practices that we have for agent frame for FinOps framework. But if you want to connect to different tools, you can store all the tools available here. Like if you want to connect to Excel or Cosmos or SQL Server or something like that. And basically, I built like a simple HTML page just to execute my project. And also in the program, as you can see here, we have all the assessment and connection to the agent framework to execute the project. What else? The last minute. So what I can do is I can go back to the Microsoft Foundry to access your project. You can open ai.azure.com, and also you can build your projects in Microsoft Foundry. If you don't have a project, you can create your project. Once you have your project, you don't need to build an agent from scratch. You can just find models, and you'll be able to choose all the models available for your environment. And basically, you can select it, create your project, and then you will be able to see the endpoint and the information available to connect to it. Useful links for you. So this is the GitHub, official GitHub repo from Microsoft. You can use aks.ms/agent framework to access the GitHub repo as well. And also the Microsoft Learn. If you have any like questions or comments, feel free to drop in the chat. So thank you very much for your time here, and also it's a pleasure, Marcel, again. Thank you very much.
Yeah.